welcome to everyone, all of you who are joining us on our live stream or who may be watching this after it's been loaded to our YouTube channel. It's good to be here with you. It's to let you know, as you see by the slide, that we have all of you who are in our photo directory here in the sanctuary with us. It's a little echoey because it's just a few of us here, no more than 5, according to the state of emergency requirements. But it's good to be here with you on a Good Friday morning. I would also like to say that there's a huge amount of thank you going out to John and Mary Phillips, who are staffing our AV department 60 feet away in the balcony, and Dave Walker, our custodian, our envelope steward, John Phillips, who in this case is doing double duty, David Hamilton on the keyboard, who provides a real foundation of faithful music to guide us. Sarah McKenzie, who has prepared the slide presentation and continues to work in isolation at home. And Judy Zarubik and myself, who are here leading worship with you. We are so glad to be with you. I'd also like to say an enormous thank you to everyone who continues to donate to the church itself. The givings over the month of March did not decrease, and that's probably because a lot of you are continuing to use pre-authorized remittance, PAR, or you've mailed your checks into the church and we are processing those as they come in, or you go to our website and there you can pay by credit card, by PayPal, or by e-transfer. You are truly making a difference.
So if you're new to our services, we use PowerPoint slides during our worship. When you see the bold red print, that's for the worship leader. And then the bold black print is for everyone else. I would invite you to participate in this service as you are able, saying your part as we join together to acknowledge the land on which we worship. For thousands of years, First Nations people have lived on this land and by these waters. This relationship is at the center of their lives and spirituality. We are gathered as a non-Indigenous community of faith on the traditional territories of the Saugeen Ojibwe Nation and acknowledge their stewardship through all the ages. We seek to live together in respect, friendship, and peace. Jesus calls us into the world to love one another as we are loved by God.
And now, as we prepare ourselves for worship, let us enter into this space in our homes, wherever we are watching, wherever we are partaking, and know that God is indeed with us as we put our trust in God's strengthening presence.
I light this candle to remind us that the light of Christ is always with us. Christ is the light, not only today in this sanctuary, but in the world and in our homes and in our hearts always. Come at Jesus' invitation to follow the way of the cross.
We
We
come once again, just like countless millions have followed you.
Come on this Good Friday, moving from last Sunday's hosannas to this day's horrors.
We come with the predictable ease of people who know not what we do.
Come to hear, to witness, to experience, to worship Jesus' self-giving love.
We come to pour perfume extravagantly for the one who sets us free.
Come to commune with God in prayer.
In all we do, O Christ, we do as your disciples. Save us then from false familiarity with your journey. May we never presume to step into your shoes, making us content to follow your way by filling our own shoes, walking in wonder and in love as you lead.
Amen. So even though you're not here, I would invite you to join together in song and make a joyful noise. It doesn't have to sound good, but to join Gord and I as we sing together, Come and Find the Quiet Center, found in Voices United, number 374.
Come and find the quiet center in the crowded life we lead. Find the room for hope to enter. Find the frame where we are freed. Clear the chaos and the clutter. Clear our eyes that we can see all the things that really matter. Be at peace and simply be. Silence is a friend who claims us, cools the heat and souls the pace. God it is who speaks and names us, knows our being face to face, making space within our thinking, lifting shades to show the sun, raising courage when we're shrinking, finding scope for faith begun. In the Spirit, let us travel, open to each other's pain. Let our loves and fears unravel, celebrate the space we gain. There's a place for deepest dreaming, there's a time for heart to care. In the Spirit's lively scheming, there is always room to spare.
You will be invited as we finish each of our little dialogues to join in a sung response. You have it coming to you. You cannot wander across the countryside with a dozen vagrants, some of whom can't speak properly expecting to be followed. Your disciples, if you can call them that, are common. And you, with your stories of lost coins and runaway children, are far from sophisticated. People want a Messiah, not a former tradesperson. If you pretend to be one, but are the other, you must take the consequences.
Were you there when they called him homeless trash? Were you there when they called him homeless trash? Oh, sometimes it causes me to tremble, tremble, tremble. Were you there when they called him homeless trash? You had it coming to you. There is little time for playing the fool. There is a time for poking fun at what is serious in politics and in religion, but there is a line between street theater and indiscretion, which you obviously don't understand. Riding on a donkey, with your starry-eyed followers throwing the shirts off of their backs, laying a ragtag carpet in front of you, that is a mockery of the royal style that may be hilarious to drunkards, but not in the light of day during the most sacred week of the year. If you choose to do that, be prepared to suffer the consequences. Were you there when they called him clown and fool? Were you there when they called him clown and fool? Oh, sometimes it causes me to tremble, tremble, tremble. Were you there when they called him clown and fool?
You have it coming to you. The police saw you. The priests saw you. The people saw you. And though they cheered, don't be deluded. When you rage, the temple is a house of prayer. Who could disagree? However, why scatter pigeons and coins all over the place? If it's sensationalism you're after, you certainly have a flair. You might even say that people are more important than sparrows. Nevertheless, when holy doves flutter into the air in panic, when money changers have their businesses vandalized, soon you'll discover what really is sacred.
Were you there when they called him Vandal Thug? Were you there when they called him Vandal Thug? Oh, sometimes it causes warning to you. Our place of worship is not a laboratory for experiments. It's not the place to see how far you can go before you are stopped. People just want to sit still, to listen to the scriptures, to hear some preaching. They don't move, nor should they. Those who might disturb the congregation keep a low profile, avoiding attention. But you ask sick people to come forward into the limelight. When they come flaunting their withered arms and scabby faces, it's like a freak show or like a circus has come to town. Healing? Certainly, there is a place for healing, but not here. Definitely not here. Were you there when they called him clumsy fraud? Were you there when they called him clumsy fraud? Oh, sometimes it causes me to tremble. Tremble, tremble. Were you there when they called him clumsy fraud?
You have it coming to you. You are taking God into the marketplace without permission. You sit with the unemployed, pretending God is there. You kneel beside the prostitute, pretending that God is there. You smile at occupying soldiers, faithless soldiers, pretending God loves them. You cannot sully God's reputation, taking God willy-nilly wherever you want. What really twists my shorts, though, is you cannot say God is here already. If you actually believe that nonsense, well, you have nothing to teach us. But we certainly have a lesson to teach you.
Were you there when they called him scam and fake? Were you there when they called him scam and fake? Oh, sometimes it causes me to tremble, tremble, tremble. Were you there when they called him scam and fake? You have it coming to you, and I'm gonna make it happen. For 3 years I have watched you, listened to you, copied you, and I have never been let down by you. You had them eating out of your hand, wrapped, devoted, ready, prepared to embrace something big. And what do you do every time? You check it out, wandering in the hills to pray, slinking down the back alleys to eat, muttering to yourself, "It is enough, enough, there will be another time." Well, my friend, the time is just about here. I am your stage manager, and I have negotiated my fee. When this whole city's eyes are riveted upon you, show me what you're made of. Show me what you can do. Afterwards, in triumph, my 30 pieces of silver will buy us all a great feast, just for you and those of us who deserve your attention and power. Were you there when they called him timid, weak? Were you there when they called him timid, weak? Oh, sometimes it causes me to tremble, tremble, tremble. Were you there when they called him timid, weak?
You have it coming to you. So you don't know it yet, but this wood is for you. As a carpenter, I know you could do lovely things with this wood. Turn it, dovetail it, sand it down. But we can't, because we're not carpenters. We're not even joiners. We're just laborers, earning money any way that we can. We've been told to mind our own business and to keep quiet without giving anything away as a favor to you, especially if you really are who they say you are. We want to let you know that this will be something really beautiful for the Son of God.
Were you there when they fashioned him a cross? Were you there when they fashioned him a cross? Oh, sometimes it causes me to tremble. Tremble, tremble. Were you there when they fashioned him a cross? From Mark chapter 14, verses 32 to 42. They went to a place called Gethsemane, and he said to his disciples, "Sit here while I pray." He took with him Peter and James and John and began to be distressed and agitated. And he said to them, "I am deeply grieved, even to death. Remain here and keep awake." And he said to them, "I am indeed deeply grieved, even to death." And going a little further, he threw himself on the ground and prayed that, if it were possible, the hour might pass from him. He said, "Abba, Father, for you all things are possible. Remove this cup from me, yet not what I want, but what you want." He came and found them sleeping, and he said to Peter, "Simon, are you asleep? Could you not keep awake 1 hour? Keep awake and pray that you may not come into the time of trial. The spirit is indeed willing, but the flesh is weak." And again he went away and prayed, saying the same words. And once more he came and found them sleeping, for their eyes were very heavy, and they did not know what to say to him. He came a third time and said to them, "Are you still sleeping and taking your rest? Enough. The hour has come. The Son of Man is betrayed into the hands of sinners. Get up, let us be going. See, my betrayer is at hand."
not have it coming to you. I am that girl at the fire, and my name is Rachel. I work at the high priest's house, so I know everything about everybody. And that's why I recognized Peter, because I'd seen him before with Jesus. But I never saw anything like what happened this morning. I arrived at my usual time, around 5 o'clock. I couldn't clean the main hall because it was packed, filled with shouting, gesturing, angry men, all of them there with Jesus, beaten, yet silent among them. I know most of those men. They might call themselves leaders of the faith, but I know how scared they were inside, really scared. They were jealous of you because people listened to you. People followed you. People loved you. You loved the poor, healed the sick, gave hope to the hopeless. All things they claimed were faithful, but never actually accomplished. I wish I had spoken up this morning, Jesus, shouting your innocence. I wish I had told them how you had healed my little sister. My fear, my fear, it silenced me. Our next Bible reading is from Mark chapter 15, verses 1 to 5 and 16 to 20. As soon as it was morning, the chief priests held a consultation with the elders and scribes and the whole council. They bound Jesus, led him away, and handed him over to Pilate. And Pilate asked him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" And he answered him, "You say so." Then the chief priests accused him of many things. And Pilate asked him again, "Have you no answer? See how many charges they bring against you?" But Jesus made no further reply, so that Pilate was amazed. Then the soldiers led him into the courtyard of the palace, that is the governor's headquarters, and they called together the whole cohort, and they clothed him in a purple cloak, and after twisting some thorns into a crown, they put it on him. And they began saluting him, "Hail, King of the Jews!" They struck his head with a reed and spat on him and knelt down in homage to him. After mocking him, they stripped him of the purple cloak and put his own clothes on him. Then they led him out to crucify him.
You did not have it coming to you. I am Simon, and I come from Cyrene. I was in Jerusalem, traveling on business as a foreigner. Perhaps I would not have been asked to carry Jesus' cross if I didn't stand out so much. "You, boy, come here," they shouted, and I answered their orders. After all, what can a very black foreigner say in a crowd of locals? I really don't know what it was all about, but I've never seen such degrading cruelty. What did you do to make the crowds, and especially the authorities, hate you so? Most people said to me afterwards that you were a holy man, maybe even God's son. So why were the religious authorities so afraid of you? Why did the Romans consider you a threat? Him at the judgment hall, beaten, bound, reviled, arraigned. See him meekly bearing all, up to all his soul sustained. Shun not suffering, shame, or loss. Learn from Christ.
They went out and followed him, those who had sat with him at the table. He led them to a garden where he prayed while they slept. Prayed while they slept. Prayed while they slept.
He was kissed, and because he was kissed, he was arrested. When he was arrested, his friends fled, some to go into hiding, one to stand beside a bonfire and say, "I never knew him. I never knew him. I never knew him."
He was brought before the religious authorities, accused of blasphemy, of threatening political insurrection, and of challenging their religious authority. Having no power to deal with him, they handed him over to the state governor. After listening to the accusations, the governor asked, "What have you to say? What have you to say? What have you to say?"
To which Jesus' response was silence. He had said and done it all. He was found innocent of all criminal charges, but his followers called him King of the Jews, and that was treason. To cover their motivations, they decided the bloodthirsty crowd would determine his fate. They did this by shouting, "Crucify him! Crucify him! Crucify him!"
He was cursed and spat on, whipped and humiliated. On his shoulder a gift was placed, which he accepted with grace. Under the weight of that gift, that cross, he stumbled and fell, stumbled and fell, stumbled and fell all the way to Calvary.
On top of a garbage dump, he was nailed to that cross and left to die, while soldiers gambled, critics joked, and religious leaders smiled with satisfaction. His mother watched and waited, watched and waited, watched and waited until, in the end, she saw a sign of the beginning.
Our next reading is Mark chapter 15, verses 25 to 32. It was 9 o'clock in the morning when they crucified him. The inscription of the charge against him read, "The King of the Jews." And with him they crucified two bandits, one on his right and one on his left. Those who passed by derided him, shaking their heads and saying, "Aha! You who would destroy the temple and build it in 3 days, save yourself and come down from the cross." In the same way, the chief priests, along with the scribes, were also mocking him among themselves and saying, "He saved others, he cannot save himself. Let the Messiah, the King of Israel, come down from the cross now, so that we may see and believe." Those who were crucified with him also taunted him.
You did not have it coming to you. I'm Cato, the one who offered Jesus the vinegar. I just happened to be on execution duty that day. We all take our turn, and there are always lots of people to be crucified. There are so many who didn't like the Roman peace, the peace that was enforced by violence. None of us like it. You have to deal with women screaming, children bawling, and the odd drunk challenging the victim to a fight. Today was out of the ordinary, though. A lot of people just kept quiet. Cursing and derision came loudly from the temple authorities. It seemed the important people, the ones who stay away from executions as a rule, they were the ones shouting the vile abuse. And I have to admit, I considered joining in for fear they thought I was on his side, but what can I say now? Jesus, I was only doing my job. You were framed. You shouldn't be on that cross, but I can't take you down by myself. I'm not my own boss. You know? Were you there when the sun refused to shine? Were you there when the sun refused to shine? Oh, sometimes it causes me to tremble, tremble, tremble. Were you there when the sun refused to shine? Were you there when they pierced him in the side? Were you there when they pierced him in the side? Oh, sometimes it causes me to tremble, tremble, tremble. Were you there when they pierced him in the side?
I am Mary, his mother. When he was a baby, an old man told me that one day sorrow would pierce my heart like a sword. This is that day, and my heart breaks as I watch him. There he is, a man who put others before himself. my little boy being put to death, tortured to death before all the jeering crowd. What can I say? Jesus, when you were a boy, you once told me that you had to be about your Father's business. If this is your Father's business, and it has led you to this cross, may it soon be finished. And may God, who put you into my hands, now take you into divine healing arms. Sins chastised, she beheld her Son despised, scourged and crowned with thorns and tried. Saw him then from judgment taken, and in death by all forsaken, till his spirit he resigned.
When it was noon, darkness came over the whole land until 3 p.m. At 3 o'clock, Jesus cried out with a loud voice, Eloi, Eloi, lema sabachthani, which means, my God, why have you forsaken me? And some of the bystanders heard it. They said, listen, he is calling for Elijah. Someone ran, filled a sponge with sour wine, put it on a stick, and gave it to him to drink, saying, wait, let us see whether Elijah will come to take him down. Then Jesus gave a loud cry and breathed his last. And the curtain of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom. Now when the centurion who stood facing him saw that in this way he breathed his last, he said, truly, this man was God's son. There were also women looking on from a distance. Among them were Mary Magdalene, and Mary, the mother of James the younger, and of Joses, and of Salome. These used to follow him and provided for him when he was in Galilee. And there were many other women who had come up with him to Jerusalem. Were you there when they laid him in the tomb? Were you there when they laid him in the tomb? Oh, sometimes it causes me to tremble, tremble, tremble. Were you there when they laid him in the tomb?
So there it is, the ugly shape of beautiful wood, rough hewn by human hands. Lord,
where are you now? And there it is, a tight-shut tomb, a borrowed grave, sealed with stone and silence.
Lord, where are you now? And there it is, your broken body, shrouded in linen, clothed in defeat. Lord, where are you now?
And somewhere stand your people, crying, though tired of crying, their eyes bloodshot and sore. They will not sleep tonight.
Lord, where are you now? And out in the streets, the children have stopped their playing. The sound of their music has gone sour. Even the unlikely people fidget and wonder. Lord, where are you now?
And here we are saying, if only, murmuring, surely not, counting the cost for once of our carelessness, of our lovelessness, and of our sin.
Lord, where are you now? We are trying so hard to gain it all that we have bartered you away in the transaction. We have lost the one who found us. Lord, where are you now?
With the Peters and Marys of all time, we wait. For only you can tell whether we are worthy of your rising. Lord,
where are you now?
Amen.
So as we leave this service, as we leave this place, as you are sitting at home by yourself with family, remember the story. Feel it in your heart. Take the time in silence to remember. Amen.